Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Welcome back to the Gallagher Shots YouTube channel. My name is Emil. It's the player ratings for Newcastle against Brighton. Let's just breeze through because we managed to steal a point at home. Amazing. A miserable 0-0 performance at St James's Park. Like I said, let's get on with it really. Martin Dubravka, he made some very important stops in goal when he had to, when Brighton were eventually on target. I've got to admit their striking options weren't great, but you know, there was a few nervy moments on the ball where it was going to him. He didn't have many options when he was going out, so I think it was quite a frustrating game for Dubravka, because he was affected by that just complete lack of confidence on the pitch from the rest of the team. But largely untested, didn't really do much wrong. 7 for Dubravka. It's downhill from here. Manquillo had a pretty shaky first half. He really a bit all over the place, a lot of play chase and that type of thing. In the end, he was one of the few who tried to press in the second half. I'll hand it to him there. And there were some strong challenges to stop Brighton, but all in all, not a great performance. 5 for Manquillo. Dummett, another shaky one from him. He came in with the important challenges when it mattered, but there was too many moments where Brighton caught him off guard. There was some classic hoofing, which led to nothing. Dummett gets a 6. Captain Lascelles, first half there was some really poor clearances, weak clearances, backing off as ever. I was just saying, put a challenge in, man, and he did try and take matters into his own hands. We're seeing this classic Lascelles run up the pitch, which just keeps occurring, but didn't really lead to anything again, similar with Dummett's hoofing. However, there was some improvement in those final stages. I don't know if the 4 at the back thing suited him more, or whether it was just the fact that Newcastle were pressing at last. Why wasn't that happening for the entire game? Lascelles maybe needs to speak to the rest of the team a bit more and get it sorted. 5 for Lascelles. Fabian Schär was very wasteful when he was trying to run through Brighton, do his usual thing. It just wasn't happening. Some really poor shots he could have passed, etc. There was an absolute dream of a clearance off the line, we have to admit, to save that point, which sounds ridiculous if that was the thing that saves the point, but you know, he looked very nervous when Brighton did come in. And he looked knackered. He was getting battered around. I'm not sure if he's maybe carrying a knock after the slight injuries at Liverpool, but you know what, never mind. 6 for Schär. It was a really poor game. Willems had a really hit and miss game from him, but it was more miss than hit. He did the hard work, only to lose possession. I don't know if he's maybe got his confidence up after the goal, but he's maybe getting a little bit too cocky, I think, with Willems at the minute. He was very wasteful when he was shooting aimlessly at the goal. It's a shame, really, but Willems gets a 3. It was a poor game. He went off for Andy Carroll. This was probably the only highlight of the game, the biggest cheer that the stadium has seen in that game. He replaced him in the final 10 minutes. There was a glorious moment when he came on. He was there to give it a go, and you know that he wants Newcastle to win. It's similar to Longstaff. It's a player that will run through a wall for the team, and he busted a gut to make something happen at least, but sadly didn't get the sweet connection with the ball when it was needed. 7 for Carroll. I think he did alright, even though it was a short space of time. Hayden in the centre was doing most of the work, actually. I think he was hindered by that in his performance. It wasn't the best we've seen from Hayden. He was carrying a lot of the workload from a certain person we'll speak about in a second, but the frustration showed at times. I don't know if that was maybe coming on from the fact that he thought he was doing all the work. There was some decent challenges, but he was mainly out of position, trying to be a striker, trying to do everything. It was a shame. Hayden gets 6. Shelvey was awful. Absolutely terrible game, full of wasted possession. I was screaming at him, and nothing going forward. Lazy getting back. He just moped around like normal. Lazy, shoddy, really annoying. Jonjo Shelvey, 2. I think that might be one of the lowest ones I've ever given, but bloody hell, I could have gone lower. That's me being nice. Key came on, and let's be honest, he could have done a cartwheel, and that would have been an instant improvement from what Shelvey was actually bringing to that game. Key, though, did look good. I think Key had a bit ahead on him. Improvement from Norwich, so let's get him starting next week. I've got to say, Key getting back to that form that we saw, I'll give him a 6. Atsu was very similar to Willems on this game. It's a reason why their partnership failed, but I think that Atsu wasn't getting the service from Willems, and then Atsu, when he was on the ball, he was just running nowhere, wasted possession. He was overpowered a lot by Brighton's defence, but in those final few moments, I think he sensed that he could do something. It was the Atsu that we know a bit better. He was going at them, and he stepped it up in those final 20 minutes. He gave options, so he kind of clawed his rating back for this week on that basis. Similar with Schär with the clearance. A lot of the players did well in that final 20 minutes. 6 for Atsu. Almiron, missed a glorious opportunity, didn't he, in that first half? He was playing out of position. Bruce really isn't utilising him to his full ability. He needs to be central, but even then, when Almiron was on the ball, he lost possession. He had a bad day. I know he was getting us a few of his normal set plays, but really, really frustrating from Almiron. I think there was one where he literally just let the ball go to Brighton's player. It was madness. 4 for Almiron. Sam Maximan replaced him because Almiron was having such a bad game, and instant life, spark, off we went. He really changed the game, and I know that we didn't win it, but I think that the attacking options that we showed in them final few moments was mainly down to Alan San Maximan. He gave ideas, he ran through Brighton, and he still needs to show a bit more end product, but we can't be too harsh on him because he had a lot of work to do in that game. 7 for him. Joelinton. Can't fault his work rate away from being a striker. He's doing everything else that you want to see, but he's doing absolutely naff all in terms of being in the box, being up front. Stay up there. And it's tough because he's on his own and he's not got the support. I've liked the partnership of him and Carroll. I think that could be something we look at in the future. But really, really starting to struggle now. And I know it was a tough thing when, you know, Brighton were playing quite tight at the back. Brighton were well organised, I'll give them that. But the shots he had later on should have been clinical. Joelinton gets 5. Things have to improve. I'm never one to boo the team, but it was a performance where it was like, oh, Howe, man, you've got to beat teams like Brighton. They were good, and we made them look even better. Cracks shown all around, really, including the attendance. You saw it in the seats. It's really, really worrying. We've seen Newcastle play better, though, but you know, it's a tough one at the minute, isn't it? Surely it can get better. One thing is for sure, if you think that was bad, just wait until you see Chris's beard on the Always Smiling Faces podcast. I will see you next time.